Shio Gang, going to do a read aloud for the first couple pages of The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. It's that Halloween feeling. Now, because it's a drama, it's written in acts, and it's predominantly or mostly dialogue, and each bit of dialogue has the name of the character before it. So, the stuff that is written in italics here is going to be the stage directions. And since this was for a TV show, instead of just stage directions, we're also going to be reading about what the director would want the camera to do. And so this part in italics kind of helps you to start imagining it for yourself, using your mind as the camera that's fading in and what you would be zooming in on if you were holding the camera, and really just helps, set up, as the term goes, like set the stage, or, set up the setting of our story. And so pay attention to the stage directions because they're just as important as the dialogue. It's the visual piece. So, Act 1. Fade in on a shot of the night sky. The various heavenly bodies stand out in sharp, sparkling relief. The camera moves slowly across the heavens until it passes the horizon and stops on a sign that reads Maple Street. It is daytime. Then we see the street below. It is a quiet, tree-lined, small-town American street. The houses have front porches on which people sit and swing on gliders, talking across from house to house. Steve Brand is polishing his car, which is parked in front of his house. His neighbor, Don Martin, leans against the fender watching him. An ice cream vendor, riding a bicycle, is just in the process of stopping to sell some ice cream to a couple of kids. Two women gossip on the front lawn. Another man is watering his lawn with a garden hose. As we see these various activities, we hear the narrator's voice. Okay. So before moving on, I just want you to tell yourself, what kind of town this is. Because all of these descriptors are there for a reason. It's not in a city in Chicago. It's not out on a river. It's in this town. And think about, in your mind's camera, think about all the different things you're supposed to pan on. Somebody washing their car, neighbors both out together, talking to each other, an ice cream vendor riding a bicycle, before they had the ice cream vans, children playing, people mowing the lawn. And so, what type of mood is the author trying to set up here about this small town? What are they trying to say? Okay? And so all of that is important. Narrator. Maple Street, USA, late summer. A tree-lined little world of front porch gliders, hopscotch, the laughter of children, and the bell of an ice cream vendor. There is a pause, and the camera moves over a shot of the ice cream vendor and two small boys who are standing alongside buying ice cream. Narrator. At the sound of the roar and the flash of the light, it will be precisely 6:43 p.m. on Maple Street. At this moment, Tommy, one of the two boys buying ice cream from the vendor, looks up to listen to a tremendous screeching roar from overhead. A flash of light plays on the faces of both boys, and then moves down the street and disappears. Various people leave their porches or stop what they are doing to stare up at the sky. Steve Brand, the man who has been polishing his car, stands there, transfixed, staring upwards. And so remember, fixed, the root word fixed means to attach, and trans means across. So to be transfixed, it means that your attention is attached to something that's further away or across the way. So in this point, transfixed means that he's now staring in the distance. Okay? So we have this perfect, serene family town in the 50s, probably. And now this light flashes through the sky and the whole town just kind of stops. see what's up with it. All right. He looks at Don Martin, his neighbor from across the street. And at first I'm going to read the names, but in drama you don't actually read the names. That's just so whoever is reading Myra knows it's time to speak. But so at first, just to give you an idea, I'll read them, but then I'll fade out of doing that. So, Steve. What was that? A meteor? That's what it looked like. Apologies. That's what it looked like. I didn't hear any crash though, did you? Steve. Nope, I didn't hear anything except a roar. Myra, from her porch. What was that? Steve, raising his voice and looking toward the porch. Guess it was a meteor, honey. Came awful close, didn't it? Myra, too close for my money, much too close. So we have our italics again, so the stage directions. The camera moves slowly across the various porches to people who stand there watching and talking in low conversing tones. Narrator. Maple Street, 6:44 p.m. on a late September evening. He pauses. Maple Street, in the last calm and reflective moment, pause, before the monsters came. All right, so here, this is called foreshadowing. Foreshadowing means that you are hinting about the future of the story. So, our narrator tells us, he even knows the exact, precise minute. Maple Street in the last calm and reflective moment before the monsters came. The camera takes us across the porches again. A man is replacing a light bulb on a front porch. He gets off his stool to flick the switch and find that nothing happens. Another man is working on an electric power mower. He plugs in the plug, flicks the switch of the mower off and on, but nothing happens. Through a window, we can see a woman pushing her finger up and down on the dial hook of a telephone. Her voice sounds far away. Operator, operator, something's wrong on the phone. Operator. Myra Brand comes out on the porch and calls to Steve. Steve, the power's off. I had the soup on the stove and the stove just stopped working. Same thing over here. I can't get anybody on the phone either. The phone seems to be dead. We look down again on the street. Small, mildly disturbed voices are heard coming from below. Voice 1. Electricity's off. Voice 2. Phone won't work. Voice 3. Can't get a thing on the radio. Voice 4. My power mower won't move. Won't work at all. Voice 5. Radio's gone dead. Okay, so look at how they're using all of this dialogue to build up suspense, build up the conflict. We have this peaceful, normal, wonderful town where everybody's friends with everybody, and a meteor came, now the electric's out, and slowly but surely we are now panning. So panning is kind of when you take the camera and you're just kind of slowly moving down. So we're panning down the street as person after person after person after person just notices these small little things are wrong. Okay, so we're slowly building up in our conflict. It's the rising action. Pete Van Horn, a tall, thin man, is seen standing in front of his house. I'll cut through the backyard to see if the power's still on Floral Street. I'll be right back. He walks past the side of his house and disappears into the backyard. The camera pans down slowly until we are looking at 10 or 11 people standing around the street and overflowing. Apologies, had a little technical issue there. Okay. He walks past the side of his house and disappears into the backyard. The camera pans down slowly until we are looking at 10 or 11 people standing around the street and overflowing to the curb and sidewalk. In the background is Steve Brand's car. Doesn't make sense. Why should the power go off all of a sudden? And the phone line? Maybe some kind of an electrical storm or something. That doesn't seem likely. Sky's just as blue as anything. Not a cloud. No lightning, no thunder, no nothing. How could it be a storm? I can't get a thing on the radio. Not even the portable. The people again began to murmur softly in wonderment. Well, why don't you go downtown and check with the police? Though they'll probably think we're crazy or something. A little power failure, and right away we all get flustered and everything. It isn't just a power failure, Charlie. If it was, we'd still be able to get a broadcast on the portable. There is a murmur of reaction to this. Steve looks from face to face and then at his car. I'll run downtown. We'll get this all straightened out. He gets in the car and turns the key. Looking through the open car door, we see the crowd watching Steve from the other side. He starts the engine. It turns over sluggishly and then stops dead. He tries it again, and this time he can't get it to turn over. Then very slowly, he turns the key back to off and gets out of his car. The people stare at Steve. He stands for a moment by the car and then walks toward them. I don't understand it. It was working fine before. Out of gas? Shakes his head. I just filled it. What does it mean? It's just as if everything has stopped. Then he turns towards Steve. We'd better walk downtown. Another murmur of assent to this. So that's part 1. That's where we're going to stop. And hopefully you will find this to be an interesting story. She.